Hi guys, I'm Samreet from A1 Australia, IELTS, PTE and NATI coaching. Today we are going to discuss a very important task in PTE's reading, which is reorder paragraphs. So right now I'm logged into A1 Australia portal. I'm logged into a student's ID. Okay, so in our portal we have our dashboard, okay, which tells you about the students' progress, their mock test scores, which compares their mock test scores and stuff. After that, we have got mock tests, we have got section wise tests, we have got question wise tests, which we'll be doing today, and we have got a vocabulary book in which we have a collocation list as well, in which there is like 2500 plus words. So it's really helpful if you want to get to know more words, right? So let's start with the question wise test. Cool. So we're gonna, these are all the categories, these are all the question types that there are in a PTE exam. So today we are gonna do a reorder paragraph. Okay. So let's not start with the first one. Okay, let's start something random, right? So let's go with number 12. Okay. Yeah. So the main thing that you have to remember in PTE is, sorry, in PTE reorder paragraph is you have to find an introduction, you have to follow up that introduction, and you have to find a conclusion, right? If you find these things, it's going to be very easy for you to make pairs. And in PTE reorder paragraphs, you get 6 points in total, and at least 6 points in total, and you get 1 point for every pair. For every two lines you put together correctly, you get 1 point. So it is very important task, right? So as we proceed forward, I'll tell you some more tips and techniques. Okay, one major technique is an eliminating technique, which I used in my PTE exam. So eliminating technique is like here we have nevertheless. So nevertheless cannot be an independent sentence because something has to be before nevertheless, so that they can counter it, right? Okay, so let's start and then we'll see. So we have got nevertheless, governments believe coding is an essential skill. So this can't be our independent sentence. Many of us happily drive a car without understanding what goes on under the bonnet. This can be our independent sentence. So, is it necessary for children to learn how to program computers? This cannot be because the first word is so. So cannot initiate an independent sentence, right? After all, this also cannot initiate an independent sentence, but we'll go through it. After all, some experts say coding is one of the human skills that will become obsolete as artificial intelligence grows. Developing computational thinking helps students to better understand the world around them. So this can be our independent sentence, right? So we're gonna put this one on the top, and we're gonna put this one on the top, okay, and then we're gonna come back to it later. Or if you really want to get the right answer, right? So we can go through it properly, but it's gonna take a little more time. But let's go. Let's do that, right? Okay. Developing constitutional computational thinking helps students to better understand the world around them. Many of us happily drive a car without understanding what goes on under the bonnet. I think this line is correct, right? Let's put together and then we'll go through it one more time and then I'll explain, right? Many of us happily drive a car without understanding what goes on under the bonnet. So, is it necessary for children to learn how to program computers? After all, some experts say coding is one of the human skills that will become obsolete as artificial intelligence grows. Nevertheless, governments believe coding is an essential skill. Okay, so let's go through the whole thing. Developing computational thinking helps students to better understand the world around them. Many of us happily drive a car without understanding what goes on under the bonnet. So I'm pretty sure that these two lines are gonna go in that order because the first line is independent. It doesn't have any ties with any line. Like no line is gonna come before that. It's not gonna make any sense. Many of us happily drive a car without understanding what goes on under the bonnet. Then it's immediately followed by a question. So, is it necessary for children to learn how to program computers? This line means even though they use computers a lot, is it necessary for them to learn how to program computers because we drive a car, but we don't exactly know what goes under the bonnet, right? So these two lines are a pair. Okay. Yeah. After all, some experts say coding is one of the human skills that will become obsolete as artificial intelligence grows. So I'm pretty sure these two are a pair also, because it's putting a question: is it important for them to learn how to program computers? After all, some experts say coding is gonna be obsolete in a few years, right? Nevertheless, governments believe coding is an essential skill. So it's countering its previous line, right? So that's, I think it is correct. Let's see. There you go. It's a perfect answer, right? So try to eliminate the things like I eliminated so, after all, and nevertheless. And then I only had two options. I had to choose one of two rather than choosing one of five, right? So try to eliminate these options, right? Okay. Let's go in the 30s or 20s. We have like 230 questions, 230 plus questions for each question type, at least 230 questions, right? So there is a lot of content to practice. Okay. So let's go into the 40s. Let's go 47. Let's go 47. Right. Yeah. The topic you should choose be supported by a range of sources. A requirement of Humanities 104 is to write a persuasive paper on a topic of your choice. Sorry. Yeah. The topic you choose should be supported by a range of sources. A requirement of Humanities 104 is to write a persuasive paper on a topic of your choice. The final draft is due 1 week before the final. The source should be cited under APA guidelines and the final draft should be written in APA styles. This, according to me, is very easy. I don't even have to give it a second read. A requirement of Humanities, because here we have the topic. Topic for what? The final draft. Final draft of what? The source. The source in the final draft. For what? So all of this is answered by the line: a requirement of Humanities 104. Humanities 104 is persuasive paper on topic of your choice. The topic you choose should be supported by a range of sources. The source should be cited under APA guidelines and the final draft should be written in APA styles. The final draft is due 1 week before the final. So try to, like I said, try to put up questions and try to answer those questions, right? So the topic you should choose, topic for what? The source in the final draft of what? And after that, we've got the final draft is due 1 week before the final, right? Let's submit and see if your answer is correct. There you go, a perfect answer, right? So these are the things that you should keep in mind before attempting to order paragraphs. Try to get a whole gist of the paragraph, a whole idea of the paragraph, of what it is about. So that it will be easier for you to get a proper answer, right? Okay. So we have got 47, we have got 60, 70, 80. Let's go into the hundreds. Let's go into the hundred and see what happens, right? Okay. So this has pretty big lines. Don't get confused, right? You have to address the first three or four words, and most of the time in those first three or four words you'll get to know if this line is an independent sentence or not, right? Even the internal structure could be modified, so this is not a independent line because it says even the internal structure for what, right? Ultimately always comes at the end or before the end, some to contradict something, right? So ultimately is not a independent line. Researchers have developed a system that can 3D print the basic structure of an entire building. It can be independent line. The structures built with this system, what system? The 3D print system. So this is our independent line. After that, straight away we have our second line right away. Now, structures built with this system could be produced faster and less expensively than traditional construction methods allow. Even the internal structure could be modified in new ways. Different materials could be incorporated as the process goes along. Ultimately, the researchers say this approach could enable the design and construction of new kinds of buildings that would not be feasible with the traditional building methods. So I'm pretty sure this is the right answer. Let's see. We have got our right answer. See? So try to question yourself and try to use the elimination method, right? Because it's a very useful method. Because you know how it's very easy to break something, but it's difficult as compared to breaking. It's difficult to make something, put something up. So it's very easy to eliminate things rather than getting to know which one is the right answer. Okay. Yeah, so try to do an elimination method. If it works for you, that's very good, right? Okay, so now let's go to the end. Let's see what's the end like, and then maybe we'll do another one, right? Okay, so first of all, as you can see, for example, so this is not our number one. Okay, however, this is not our number one as well. The series of strata in an archaeological dig enables an excavator to date recovered objects relatively, if not absolutely. Historical records, coins, and other date bearing objects can help if they exist, but even prehistoric sites contain records written in nature's hand. Okay. However, when archaeologists want to know the absolute date of a site, they can often go beyond simple stratigraphy. For example, tree ring dendrochronology, literally tree time, dates wooden artifacts by matching their ring patterns to new records, which in some areas of the world span several thousands of years. Okay, so from the first look, I can see that these two are not the independent sentence, right? Here we have got historical records and we have got the series of strata. Okay, let's try to see if with these two is any line following up perfectly, right? Okay, historical records, coins, and other date bearing objects can help if they exist, but even prehistoric sites contain records written in nature's hand. However, when archaeologists want to know the absolute date of a site, okay, they can often go beyond simple stratigraphy. Okay, simple stratigraphy. Now we're gonna put this and see. The series of strata in an archaeological dig enables an excavator to date recovered objects relatively, if not absolutely. However, when archaeologists want to know the absolute date of a site, there you go. We've got if not absolutely, but then it contradicts. However, when archaeologists want to know the absolute date of a site, so right away I have my introduction, my independent sentence. I have my second line, I have my third line that follows perfectly, and then ultimately I have my fourth line. Let's see if the answer is correct, right? There you go. Like I told you, we have our independent line, then we have a second kind of independent line that would seem independent, but you have to see if the independent line is not being followed by any other which can be followed by the other one. Because if I put this up there and I put this up there, okay, so this would not make sense after this. However, when archaeologists want to know the absolute date of a site, they can often go beyond simple stratigraphy. Historical records, coins, and other date bearing objects can help if they exist, but even prehistoric sites contain records written in nature's hand. See, so this line talks about the records. This line talks about how they can recover objects, if not absolutely. This line talks if they want to recover it absolutely, what they have to do. For example, they give an example, right? Okay. So we have some time. So let's try maybe going into the 200s, maybe try 201, right? Let's try 201. Okay. So he, or very possibly she, took one stone and carefully used it to shape another. Okay. So I don't think this is the first sentence. Okay. It can be, but let's see. Sometime about 1.5 million years ago, some forgotten genius of the hominid world did an unexpected thing. Okay, so he, and I think this line would go after this for sure. But I'm 99% sure because I haven't read the whole thing. Let me read the whole thing, then we'll see, right? Eventually, whole societies existed that seemed to do little else. This won't be the independent line because it says eventually, right? It was so superior to existing tools that soon others were following the inventor's lead and making hand axes of their own. Okay. The result was a simple teardrop shaped hand axe, and it was the world's first piece of advanced technology. Okay. So I think this is the first line. It'd be the second line because they're talking about a genius. Then they're saying he or she took one stone, carefully used it to shape another. That what was the result of it? What happened? This happened. It was so superior to the existing tools that soon as was following the inventor's lead and making hand axes of their own. Eventually, whole societies existed that seemed to do little else. Let's read the whole thing together. Okay. So, sometime about 1.5 million years ago, some forgotten genius of the hominid world did an unexpected thing. He, or very possibly she, took one stone and carefully used it to shape another. The result was a simple teardrop shaped hand axe, but it was the world's first piece of advanced technology. It was so superior to existing tools that soon others were following the inventor's lead and making hand axes of their own. Eventually, whole societies existed that seemed to do little else. Let's see if this answer is correct. If it's not, let's see what we did wrong, right? Okay, there you go. We have a perfect answer. Now I'll explain how I came to this conclusion because I did this whole thing pretty fast compared to the other questions, right? So it was first I had this in mind as well, okay, but it won't go. He, or very possibly she, took one stone and carefully used it to shape another. Sometime about 1.5 million years ago, some forgotten genius of the hominid world did an unexpected thing. Right? What did they do? This is what they did. Right? After this, we cannot say the result was simple teardrop hand axe. We have to do this. So, some time ago, someone existed. They did an unexpected thing. What did they do? They took a stone and carefully used it to shape another. What happened after that? The result was an axe, which was the world's first advanced piece of technology. What about the axe? It was so superior to existing tools that soon others were following their inventor's lead. What happened at the end? Eventually or ultimately, these two can be used in place of the other, right? Ultimately, whole societies existed that seemed to do little else. There you go. So the main thing in reorder paragraphs is you have to find an independent sentence. You have to see if something goes along with the independent sentence and something cannot come before that, right? Yeah. So these things, also try to use the elimination method. Just practice elimination method. If it suits you, well and good. If not, well and good in that case as well, right? So try to use the elimination method. Try to eliminate the things that won't fit, right? Because when you read, there's a gut feeling that clicks. That's right. This is not right. This can be something else. Most of the time, you can easily differentiate if it's the independent sentence or not. But sometimes you can get confused. So that's when you arrange all the other ones and see if your independent sentence fits there or not. Right. So these are the things I think should help you to get a good score in reorder paragraphs. Okay. And for yeah, so that's basically it, to be honest. Because what I did in my PTE exam was I tried to use the elimination method. I eliminated the things and I got a pretty good score, right? So do this and you'll surely see an improvement. Okay. So I'm Samrit from A1 Australia group, and I hope I'll see you soon. For more tips and techniques like this, follow us on Instagram and YouTube. The links are below. Thank you. See you soon.